Hello and what is up, guys? Rye here and welcome back to some more automation and of course BeamNG.Drive. So today we're going to be building a minivan, and it's not just going to be a Honda Odyssey kind of thing or a Chrysler Town and Country or even a Toyota Sienna. It's not going to be any of those boring minivans. No, this is going to be inspired by the Renault Espace F1, which if you guys don't know is a mid-engine V10 super minivan made in I think like 1990s. It was more of a concept car than a production car. They never really made them in production, but it's still so gosh darn cool. So today we're going to be doing just that, and by doing just that I mean we're going to be making a V8 front engine rear wheel drive super minivan. Basically something to compete against the Dodge Viper, except if it was a gosh darn minivan. So first things first, the year is 1996. We've got this blocky minivan shape. I could have went for a more smooth one, but I'm imagining that this is like a Dodge Grand Caravan that's just been upped to the absolute insane level of performance that it's gonna be. So first things first, here we have our choice of panel material. Now we're gonna go for steel. This is still gonna be a reasonably cheap vehicle. I'm talking, you know, $30,000-$40,000 in automation dollars. Monotop chassis, we're gonna go for what, just like steel chassis material. This thing's gonna rust, obviously, like any van. Have you seen a 1990s van nowadays? I don't think so. They're all rusted. We don't want it to stay here any longer than it has to. So front mounted longitudinal. I think some vans actually had a V8 engine. Correct me if I'm wrong. Double wishbone up front, and we're gonna go for what, like just multi-link in the rear, which is just super fancy for like a van. It's gonna be a 90-degree V8. Cast iron push rod. It's going to be a big old V8 in a minivan. The engine actually fits. This engine we can fit a massive engine in this car. Like just a very reasonable 6.5 liter. Lots of stroke. It's going to be a torquey thing. Push rod V8, all cast iron. Nothing fancy about it. We'll give it just forged internals because this is going to be a high performance engine. We'll give it pretty stiff springs and a pretty high cam profile and a pretty high compression. This thing is going to be naturally aspirated, though. It's just going to be a big old American van. This thing is basically going to be a production car, but like a production car with a supercar engine. Twin multi-point EFI, high performance intake, and premium fuel. Tubular header exhausts. And we'll give it we'll give it a reverse flow and a straight through muffler. No, we'll give it one muffler only. So 395 horse, 385 torque. That's pretty competent. That's a pretty competent minivan. It's not really on par with the Renault Espace F1, which I think had in a 3.5 liter V10 with 750 horsepower. So we're definitely underpowered, but the Renault Espace was an F1 van. This is an American van, okay? This is a van for all your NASCAR fans out there. Anyone who loves racing, this is what this thing's for. We're going to take this body here, and we're going to move past the engine for now. I'm going to tweak the engine a bit more because I think we can get a little more power out of it than what we're pushing. Of course, rear-wheel drive with a 6-speed manual, because what else would you do, guys? It's the 90s. We need to have this. And we'll give it a really high gearing here. We'll give it we'll give it high gearing. Give it a speed limiter to 280, some short gears, and a geared limited slip diff. We'll give it semi-slicks. Now, these aren't like slick. They're not full slick race tires, but they are like semi-race tires. We gotta give it the wide body. We have to. We want to have it with wider tires. I'm thinking this is like a Dodge Viper, except it's a 6.5 liter V8 in a minivan, which is absolutely nutty. So we got 17-inch tires. We got aluminum wheels. Pretty good vented discs, 4 pistons for sure, and we'll give it high brake force. This thing's gonna be a bit of a big boy. Give it a fully cladded under tray, and we won't give it any extra aeroflow. It's gonna be, should it still be a 7-seater? It should still be a 7. You know, I actually want a bench. I want an 8-seater. An 8-seater minivan, which would be absolutely nutty. We'll give it a sport interior and a standard cassette player. You know, you do get a standard cassette player in your 400 horsepower minivan, which is lovely. Give it a variable hydraulic steering, traction control, and ABS. We'll give it some good safety or decent safety. And just a fairly fancy. But right now, it weighs 4,200 pounds, which sounds reasonable. That's not bad. 8 mpg. Oh, that's not good. Yeah, that's less than I thought. That's less than the Viper, I think, which is nutty. It does 0 to 100 kilometers an hour in 5.3 seconds, which is pretty gosh darn good. I like this shape, and I think we're gonna give this thing like a big old sort of race wing similar to the Renault Espace F1. It's gonna be obviously a racing minivan with ground effects and all that stuff. I want to have ground effects. I want it to be a little bit of a wide body on it. We'll add to it, and we'll add some other stuff as well and make it look pretty gosh darn sick. I'm going to tune the suspension just a little bit here. So I will do a time lapse, we'll design the car, sit back, relax guys, and of course, I hope you enjoy. Alright guys, so we are starting the build for my super minivan. Now this thing's going to be obviously absolutely insane. I added the wide body to the front and rear so far. I'm working on the basic grille shape with the headlights. So I'm adding grille cutouts and headlight cutouts, adding these sort of quad headlamps. And I do change the grille just a little bit. I make it a little bit smaller, adding these tri-bars in the middle with a sort of split in between. Making some more surrounds to the headlight housing. And now on the bottom bumper, adding a big old sort of like a front lip or a front splitter, basically adding a couple of them, so it looks kind of interesting, adding a front sort of bumper as well, because making things fit together perfectly was kind of hard for this car, but it turns out so cool. Just finishing up with the front end, now I'm on the side end, adding some side trim, basically. I want to have this thing having some sort of big, thick, wide body, almost like a DTM kind of car, adding these turn signals in a front grille now, adding these sporty 80s or 90s style mirrors, adding a one NACA duct on the front end, and working on the new badge on the front. This is my new sort of Maven style badge I'm working on. I'll tweak it more later. Adding dual wipers on the car in a really weird position, which I think is kind of cool. This car's got to be quirky. It's got to have some quirky kind of mirrors or some quirky wipers. I changed the color to a nice sort of light blue. Now the car is now named. Going around the back, I added the taillights. I am now adding a rear bumper. So going around and adding a bumper in a 3D space. Adding a couple bumpers actually, because it was more difficult than I thought to make it look kind of cool. Adding these huge dual exhausts to sort of shoot up here in a license plate area, as well as a spare tire. A big spare tire, because this has obviously got big wheels and big tires in this car. I tweaked the engine just a little bit. Now back on the back of the vehicle. I am adding a badge. It says Ramoran, which is the name of the van. And I'd add another badge. I was looking to add another badge like Interceptor before, but I ended up with XRX, in which I'll sort of go through that a little more. Adding this sort of rear sliding door, and I am covering up the window pillars with some sort of black colors, just so it looks like it's sort of not there for style. I do tweak the car just a little bit more. And in front of us is the 1996 Maven Ramoran XRX. Alright, so finished in front of us is the 1996, the Maven Ramoran XRX. Now, Ramoran is a name I've used on a van from like a while ago in a third wheeled series, which is a series against Consider and at the time Canadian Steel. So that was my like off-road kind of sporty race van from like the 1980s, and this is a 1990s version, and it's gotten a little bit more extreme. So 6.5 liter V8, 435 horses will be finished off at. Let's go over the styling real quick, then we'll hop into BeamNG and see how this F1 sort of race-inspired van drives. So on the front end of the van, we've got these big sort of headlight housings with these quad headlamps inside. We got the new Maven badge. I'm not too sure, just a little badge there in the front. We got a very simple lower front fascia with the very bottom here. This lip is absolutely massive. We got a NACA duct on the hood there and a simple antenna. This is where you can see this thing looks pretty nutty. It's got this massive body kit on it going from the front to the back. So we got the lip on the front there, going on the side. We got this massive side skirt and sort of wide body with the fender flares, and the back a massive rear area. This thing is just absolutely insane. This is probably like the coolest looking van I've ever seen. It's a pushrod V8. I think the newer version of this V8 that I use for Maven vehicles is a dual overhead cam 4-valve V8. So I tuned the vehicle a bit, 0 to 60 in 5 seconds to 100, top speed of 251 kilometers an hour, which is pretty good. The cost for this thing is $44,000 or so, so it's pretty expensive. It's, you know, probably the tippity top for van price. But for 44 grand, you get a 6-speed manual rear-wheel drive V8 minivan with an LSD, which is pretty dang nutty, and quite wide tires for the time as well. 305s are pretty impressive. Brakes work pretty good. The aero is there. There's actually a fair bit of aero going on for the vehicle itself. We would sell 534, which is not bad. It's mostly a family utility premium or family utility vehicle. It'd actually sell mostly in the family utility section, even with a 6.5 liter V8. I think it's more meant to be a family sport. Affordable, reliable, and quick. I don't know if it's affordable. I don't know if it's reliable. No, it's not. But it is gosh darn quick. So we're gonna hop into BeamNG.Drive. I want to test this thing on a couple of tracks. I want to see what this thing can do. So I'll see you guys in BeamNG.Drive in just a sec. So first things first, we are at the West Coast USA drag strip, and I apologize if the vehicle is loud because it's a very loud V8 apparently. It sounds absolutely insane. Like imagine just this pulling up next to the street. It's like, ah, it's a van. It seems kind of normal. No, it's not normal at all. So this is the West Coast USA drag strip. I want to see how fast this thing is on the drag strip. Ignore the inside. That's those things inside are it's totally fine. It's totally fine. So let's launch this thing at the drag strip. Let's see what we can do for a quarter mile and 0 to 60. 4.3 to 100 kilometers an hour, which is absolutely nutty to be honest. Into the quarter mile, a 12.7. So, 1996 Dodge Viper GTS. Okay, guys, 12.3 in the quarter mile. We got 12.7. Definitely would keep up with a Viper, I think, especially in like, you know, on just the normal streets and whatnot with this thing. I want to hop into a track and see how this thing actually properly handles. So why make the car even quieter? Because it's still just too gosh darn loud. This is Hirochi Raceway long, so the longest Hirochi Raceway. It's like a 2-minute or so track. It's pretty long. I think this car's going to do pretty well. It's a high-speed track. We're going to launch it. No ESC, nothing. We'll keep it in third person. It's pretty gosh darn quick. Now, my practice on this track has not been a lot, to be fair, on the long track at least. But it should be able to do pretty good. Okay, first impressions there, a little bit understeer right there. We're okay. This thing has a lot of downforce, but I think at slow speeds it's going to understeer just a bit, and that's okay. Well, mess with that corner, we're okay. This thing is just actually stupid stable. It doesn't have like, oh gosh, we're okay. Did we lose a tire? Did we lose a tire? How did my tire pop? How does that happen? What? How did it pop? Oh, this is gonna be a little sketchy now. Woo! It's sketchy. It's not stable anymore. The tire being popped is not good. Let me brake. We gotta restart. Why is it so terrible? A little oversteering, we're okay. It's not bad. Whew. Almost lost it a little bit there. Full speed, 180 in the straight, pretty good. Braking here, just a little bit, a little early braking, we're okay. It's quick, but like, it just feels safe. It just feels really safe. I mean, look at this. 140 my last record was the truck super fast, which I think was a stream truck last year, from literally a year ago. Lastly, we're going to finish off in the car jump arena. I'm going to guess this thing is going to go, what, 400 meters, something like that. It's going to be okay. I think this thing's going to be limited by speed here. We got a lot of downforce. It's going to slow it down probably a little bit. Lost our bumpers in the rear and front thing already. We'll just go in 6th here and floor it. Top speed is limited to about 240? Something like that? 260? Gearing, which would have took over 300, which is actually nutty. And like 280 meters, which is not bad. And the car is absolutely toast after that, though. It's it's a pancake. I'm gonna turn it off because it's loud as heck. Look at that thing. Absolutely. I'll leave a download link if you guys want to download this car. It's been a little bit since I posted my last video. I apologize, being sick with COVID, being sick for the past week or 2 weeks almost now. And then that and work and other IRL stuff has kept me pretty occupied. So hopefully more videos are coming soon. stay tuned. I've got a lot recorded, just need to edit it. Join my Discord, link is in the description down below. I've got a new challenge running where you guys can win, you know, like Steam gift cards and stuff, which is pretty gosh darn cool. So enter in my Discord, link is in the description of the video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and of course, as always, I'll see you guys next time.